Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, 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 Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Ram. Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, everyone. Thank you for joining this morning. Actually, it looks like night because it's still very dark outside, hence the quality of the picture. So apologize for that. But I'm sure the sun is out. The sun and the moon, they all do their jobs. Just the clouds are in the way at the moment, and that clears. Then we will see everything, just like the Krishna's sun. Krishna is there, but with our blunt senses, we just can't see him. And once our senses have spiritualized, we will see Krishna as well. So thank you for joining this morning. We're going to make a start. And we have been talking about Dhruva Maharaj. And in this pastime today, Dhruva Maharaj is going back home, back to Godhead, which gives us inspiration as well that Dhruva Maharaj, from a 5-year-old, he achieved so much. At least in the Kali Yuga, we can also achieve something. And Prabhupada said that we can go back home in this lifetime. So why shouldn't we try? So starting Dhruva Maharaj ruled over this planet for 36,000 years. He diminished the reactions of pious activities by enjoyment, and by practicing austerities, he diminished inauspicious reactions. So he burnt out all his good and bad karma. There are two kinds of activities, namely pious and impious. By executing pious activities, one can gain facilities for higher material enjoyment. But due to impious activities, one has to undergo severe distress as well. And we find that day to day, hour to hour, how sometimes we're in stress, sometimes we are happy, sometimes get bad news, sometimes get good news. It's the duality of life, and it's the duality of karma as well. When he's prosperous, he knows I'm diminishing the results of my pious activities. And when he's distressed, he knows I'm diminishing the reactions of my impious activities. And so we never need to worry, because if we just see things as from the point of view of karma, we just see now this is happening and now this is happening. I'm burning one thing or another. That's all we're doing. We're burning impious and pious results. That's all we're doing. A devotee is not concerned with enjoyment or distress. He simply desires to execute devotional service. So that's what we should just concentrate on. It is said in the Srimad Bhagavatam that devotional service should be apratihata, unchecked by material conditions of happiness and distress. The devotee undergoes process of austerity, such as observing Ekadashi and similar other fasting days, and refraining from illicit relationships, intoxication, gambling, and meat eating. Thus, he becomes purified from the reactions of his past impious life. So these things, they always help us to get rid of our reactions. And because he engaged in devotional service, which is the most pious activity, he enjoys life without separate endeavor. So it's automatic. The devotional service is very auspicious. Let's do a quick prayer. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Mukham Kroti Vashanam Pangum Langyate Gring Yat Kirpa Tamaham Bande. Shri Gurum Din Taranam Pramananda Madham. Shri Chaitanya Ishwaram Hari Om Tassat. Narayanam namaskritya naram cheva narottamam devim saraswatim vyasam tato jayam udiriyat nastaprishabhavadureshu nityam bhagvat sevya bhagavati uttam shloke bhakti bhavati neshtaki. Hare Krishna. And it's also mentioned that the self-controlled great soul, Dhruva Maharaj, then passed many, many years faithfully executing three kinds of worldly activities, namely religiosity, economic development, and satisfaction of all material desires. Therefore, he handed over the charge of the royal throne to his son. Srila Dhruva Maharaj realized that this cosmic manifestation bewilders living entities like a dream or phantasmagoria, because it is a creation of the illusory external energy of the Supreme Lord. In the deep forest, it sometimes appears that there are big palaces and nice cities, things out of imagination. A self-realized person or a devotee knows well that this material cosmic manifestation is a temporary illusory representation appearing to be truth. It is like a phantasmagoria, but behind this shadow of creation, there is reality. So this creation is a shadow, it's a shadow of the reality, the spiritual world. A devotee is interested in the spiritual world, not its shadow. And this is where we try to find happiness in the shadow. We're looking for the fruits in the shadow. And no wonder there's no sweetness, because they're not real fruits, they're just shadows in this material world. Since he has realization of the supreme truth, a devotee is not interested in this temporary shadow of the truth. This is confirmed in Bhagavad-Gita, Param Dristva Nivartate. Thus, Dhruva Maharaj at the end left his kingdom, which extended all over the earth and was bounded by the great oceans. He considered his body, his wives, his children, his friends, his army, his rich treasury, his very comfortable palaces, and his many enjoyable pleasure grounds to be creations of the illusory energy. So unless you understand these things, unless you understand the reality of what's going on, it's very hard to give up, very hard to detach ourselves, very hard to give into this. Actually, we do give in, but very hard to break away from the illusory energy. We are stuck with it till the end, whether it's our wealth, whether it's family, friends, whatever. We are just attached to it, and the only way we give it up is by dying. But if we can give it up before, then we have a chance of going back home. Thus, in due course of time, he retired to the forest in Himalayas known as Badrikashram. In Badrikashram, Dhruva Maharaj's senses became completely purified because he bathed regularly in the crystal clear purified water. He fixed his sitting position and by yoga practice controlled the breathing process and the air of life. In this way, his senses were completely withdrawn. Then he concentrated his mind on the Archa Vigraha form of the Lord, which is the exact replica of the Lord, and thus meditating upon him, entered into complete trance. Now, just to be clear, that this is what Dhruva Maharaj did, but this is the principle. The principle for us in the Kali Yuga is not to do all this, but to chant the holy name. We have been an alternative option. This is an alternative option, easy option. Sometimes you get 1, 2, 3 options for doing things. This is the easiest option. So we don't have to retire to a forest. We don't have to fix sitting position by yogi practice, control the breathing process. We just have to control the mind and senses by chanting the holy name. It's called attentive chanting, not inattentive chanting. Attentive chanting, and that is our yogic process. Because of his transcendental bliss, incessant tears flowed from his eyes, his heart melted. And this is what should be happening to us. If we do properly, eventually this is what we should be getting: incessant tears and heart melting. And there's shivering and standing of the hairs of all over his body. Thus transformed in a trance of devotional service, Dhruva Maharaj completely forgot his bodily existence, and thus he immediately became liberated from material bondage. When a devotee completely forgets his body existence, he should be understood to be liberated. He is no longer encased in the body. The example is given that when a coconut becomes completely dry, the coconut pulp within the coconut shell separates from the bondage of the shell and outer covering. So when you rock it like this, you can hear the coconut inside. By moving a dry coconut, one can hear that the pulp within is no longer attached to the shell or to the covering. Similarly, when one is fully absorbed in devotional service, he is completely disconnected from the two material coverings, the subtle and gross bodies. Dhruva Maharaj actually attained this stage of life by constantly discharging devotional service. He has already been described as a Mahabhagavata. So unless one becomes a Mahabhagavata or a first-class pure devotee, these symptoms are not visible. So, well, at least we know what to aim for, right? As soon as the symptoms of his liberation was manifest, he saw a very beautiful airplane coming down from the sky. So the plane is now coming to take him back to the spiritual world, as if the brilliant full moon were coming down, illuminating all the 10 directions. Dhruva Maharaj saw two very beautiful sources of Lord Vishnu in the plane. They had 4 hands and a blackish bodily luster. They were very youthful, and their eyes were just like reddish lotus flowers. They held clubs in their hands, and they were dressed in very attractive garments with helmets and were decorated with necklaces, bracelets, and earrings. Dhruva Maharaj, seeing these uncommon personalities, were direct servants of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, immediately stood up, but being puzzled in hastiness, he forgot how to receive them in the proper way, which is only natural. Therefore, he simply offered obeisances with folding hands and chanted and glorified the holy names of the Lord. Dhruva Maharaj was always absorbed in thinking of the lotus feet of the Lord. His heart was full with Krishna. When the 2 confidential servants of the Supreme Lord, who were named Nanda and Sunanda, approached him, smiling happily, Dhruva stood with folded hands, bowing humbly. They then addressed him as follows. So this is now Nanda and Sunanda addressing Dhruva Maharaj. Dear King, let there be all good fortune unto you. Please attentively hear what we shall say. When you were only 5 years old, you underwent severe austerities, and you thereby greatly satisfied the Supreme Personality of Godhead. We are representatives of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the creator of the whole universe, who carries in his hand the bow named Shringar. We have been specifically deputed to take you to the spiritual world. To achieve Vishnu Lok is very difficult, but by your austerity, you have conquered. Even the great rishis and demigods cannot achieve this position. Simply to see the Supreme Abode, the Vishnu planet, the sun and moon and all the other planets, stars, lunar mansions, and solar systems are circumambulating it. Now please come, you are welcome to go there. Dear King Dhruva, neither your forefathers nor anyone else before you ever achieved such transcendental planet. The planet known as Vishnu Lok, where Lord Vishnu personally resides and is the highest of all. It is worshipped by the inhabitants of all other planets within the universe. Please come with us and live there eternally. Wow. O immortal one, this unique airplane has been sent by the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is worshipped by selected prayers and who is the chief of all living entities. You are quite worthy to board such a plane. the great sage Maitri continues. So Maitri is telling Vidur this pastime. Dhruva, Maharaj Dhruva was very dear to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. When he heard the sweet speeches of the Lord's chief associates in the Vaikuntha planet, he immediately took his sacred bath, dressed himself with suitable ornaments, and performed his daily spiritual duties. Thereafter, he offered his respectful obeisances to the great sages present there and accepted their blessing. So, this is amazing Maharaj Dhruv, that he's been invited to go back to spiritual planet, but he has to do his daily rituals or his spiritual activities, and he won't leave until he has done what he needs to do, which is amazing, because we would say, okay, let's go, before they change their mind or something, we would like that. We should mark how dutiful Dhruva Maharaja was in his devotion service. Even at the time he left this material world, he was constantly alert in the performance of devotional duties. Every devotee should take his bath early in the morning and decorate his body with tilak. In Kali Yuga, one can hardly acquire gold or jewel ornaments, but the 12 tilak marks on the body are sufficient as auspicious decorations to purify the body. Since Dhruva Maharaj was living at that time at Badik Ashram, there were other great sages there. He did not become puffed up because the airplane sent by Lord Vishnu was waiting for him. As a humble Vaishnav, he accepted blessings from all the sages before riding on the plane brought by the chief of the Vaikuntha associates. So before getting aboard, Dhruva Maharaj worshipped the airplane, circumambulated it. I mean, how many of us would remember to do that? Never. And also offered obeisances to the associates of Vishnu. In the meantime, he became as brilliant and illuminating as molten gold. He was thus completely prepared to board the transcendental plane. So he achieved a spiritual body. In the absolute world, the plane, the associates for Lord Vishnu and Lord Vishnu himself are all spiritual. There is no material contamination. In quality, everything there is one. As Lord Vishnu is worshipable, so also are his associates, his paraphernalia, his airplane, and his abode. And Dhruva Maharaj saw that everything that is connected with the Lord Vishnu is worshipable. As Lord Vishnu is worshipable, so also are his associates as well. Dhruva Maharaj knew all this very well as a pure Vaishnava, and he offered his respect to the associates and to the plane before riding in it. But in the meantime, his body changed into spiritual existence. So sometimes we say that Dhruva Maharaj went back in the same body, but actually says here that he didn't go back in the same body. His body spiritualized. So he didn't die and then he got a spiritual body. He just got a spiritual body straight away. And therefore it was illuminating like molten gold. In this way, he also became one with the other paraphernalia of Vishnu Lok. So he had the appropriate body to go to Vishnu Lok now. As Shushumar, Vishnu Lok or Dhruva Lok are completely different from this material world. So Vishnu temple within this world is completely different from this material world. So now we're just comparing a temple to other material paraphernalia. As we are in a temple, we should know very well that we are situated differently from the material world. In the temple, Lord Vishnu, his throne, his room, and all other things associated with the temple are transcendental. The three modes, Sattvagun, Rajagun, and Tamagun, have no entrance into the temple. It is said, therefore, that to live in the forest is in the mode of goodness, to live in the city is in the mode of passion, and to live in a brothel, liquor shop, or slaughterhouse is in the mode of ignorance. But to live in the temple means to live in Vaikuntha Lok, because that's what it's compared to. Everything in the temple is as worshipful as Lord Vishnu or Krishna. When Dhruva Maharaj was attempting to get on the transcendental plane, he saw death personified approach him. not caring for death. However, he took advantage of the opportunity to put his feet on the head of death. And thus he got up on the airplane, which was as big as a house. That is the Kshatriya spirit in Dhruva Maharaj. But actually, he says that to take the passing away of a devotee and the passing away of a non-devotee as one and the same is completely misleading. While ascending the transcendental plane, Dhruva Maharaj suddenly saw death personified before him. But he was not afraid. Instead of death giving him trouble, Dhruva Maharaj took advantage of death's presence and put his feet on the head of death. People with a poor fund of knowledge don't know the difference between the death of a devotee and the death of a non-devotee. In this connection, an example can be given. A cat carries its kittens in its mouth, and it also catches a rat in its mouth. Superficially, the catching of the rat and the kitten appear to be one and the same, but actually they are not. When the cat catches a rat in its mouth, it means death for the rat, whereas when the cat catches the kitten enjoys it. When Dhruva Maharaj boarded the airplane, he took advantage of the arrival of death personified, who came to offer him obeisances. That's all the reason the death came, to offer him, the head of death, to offer him obeisances. Even death, liberation, death, everything bows to you if you're a great devotee. And this unique airplane, which is described here to be as big as a house. So at that time, drums and cat-drums resounded from the sky. The chief Gandharvas began to sing, and other demigods showered flowers like torrents of rain upon Dhruva Maharaj. So this is the returning home of Dhruva Maharaj. And to the last minute, his senses and mind and intelligence were in control. He knew exactly what he had to do, and he did everything. Apart from the fact that when the two dutas came, he got bewildered for about a second, but after that he took control of himself and did exactly everything according to the scriptures, and he paid respects where respect was due. And then, this is the kind of people who go back home, or that is the level required to go back home, when we are strong in our endeavor, and we never shaken, we're not moved by distress and happiness. We are always equivocal in our life, which is very difficult, obviously, but it's a practice. It's a practice. If we don't practice, we cannot achieve, right? We have to practice sadhana, practice our controlling our mind, our senses, our character, our behavior. We have to practice. So, and it takes years of practice. It's not easy at all, because there's too much attraction out there, too many obstacles out there. Maya is very strong. We are this is a tug of war. We're not alone that we can practice. There is other things that are always testing us. So we have to be strong all the time. And then Dhruva Maharaj has demonstrated that it is possible for humans beings to go back home, back to Godhead. So thank you all so much for joining this morning. Hina Mataji, Parveen Mataji, Prem Prakash Prabhu, Priya Mataji, and Sarvashri Mataji. Thank you all so much. Would love to get your points of view on this, so what you enjoyed about this reading, and please, I want to learn from you all as well. Thank you so much. Hina Mataji, shall we start with yourselves from the top of the list? Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much, Prabhu. Pranam, everyone. All glories to Prabhupada. Lovely reading. And it's nice because you've summarized Dhruva Maharaj's life in that purport, and his final journey as well. leading to, and how he achieved perfection in Badrinath, and how his very glorious departure as well is described. And I think for me, there was a couple of points that stood out for me. How he was very alert. Dhruva was very alert. Dhruva Maharaj was very alert of his devotional activities and duties throughout his life. And for me, that, it just goes to show that's the benchmark. He had his priorities straight. He knew exactly what he needed to do, and he set the benchmark of how we all need to exit this material world. Essentially, that's the path. And obviously, we've got it so easy that we don't need to go to Badrinath. We don't need to meditate to that extent, but we've just simply been given, the chanting of the holy name for this age. We have it so easy. It's almost like it's ready-made for us. Essentially, we just need to take advantage of that. He also touched upon a really nice point around the acknowledgement of that this temporary world is just a reflection of the spiritual world, and that we really have to keep that focus in our day-to-day life, and not be bewildered by the jewels and the lights and the bright lights of this world. Just remember that this is purely just a reflection of the reality that exists in the spiritual world, and to keep that focus essentially, and not get distracted at all, or confused, or bewildered by what we see in this world, or try to make it our permanent home or anything like that, or to have those types of thoughts. So thank you so much, Prabhu.
Thank you, Mataji. Wonderful explained. Thank you so much. Praveen Mataji, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, Danvat Pranam. Very nicely explained by Hina Mataji. She's put very nicely the summary. And yes, what I'm thinking, same, Prabhupada, we are so lucky, Prabhupada, he's given us the easy option to chant attentively with full faith and love. So devotional service, like you said, determination, endeavor are very, very important. So we just have to remember always what is the ultimate goal of our life is. And Maya is very strong, so we are always pulled here and there. But we have to keep our focus. And Dhruva Maharaj has shown how he was always dedicated to devotional service, and even when they came, and he still remembered to perform his devotional service. And like you said, we would forget, yes, and I would be so happy. Oh yeah, so we are there. So we just got to remember, what is the purpose of our life is, and how we're going to get back to Godhead. And when we were reading Bhagavad-Gita and Gita Jayanti, chapter 16, the divine and demonic nature, the first 3 verses is where the Lord tells us clearly the qualities of a divine person. So I was thinking that I need to put those on, write them down and put them on my fridge. So constantly look at them, because I know we try to control ourselves one day, and the next day again, oh yeah, you're making the same mistake again. So I think I want to read them. This, if that's okay, Prabhuji, I'll quickly read. The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, fearlessness, purification of one's existence, cultivation of spiritual knowledge, charity, self-control, performance of sacrifice, study of the Vedas, austerity, simplicity, non-violence, truthfulness, freedom from anger, renunciation, tranquility, aversion to fault-finding, compassion for all living entities, freedom from covetousness, gentleness, modesty, steady determination, vigor, forgiveness, fortitude, cleanliness, and freedom from envy and from the passion for honor. These transcendental qualities, O son of Bharata, belong to godly men endowed with divine nature. So it is a very big list. I think it's about 26 qualities. So we need to keep a check and introspect from time to time, or even on daily basis, where are we going wrong? So to help us in our devotional service. Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, thank you.
Thank you, Mataji, so much. Yeah, so many qualities. I think even if we can build a few qualities that's a great achievement for us in this yoga. If we get just a few, concentrate on a few of them and try and, because Krishna is not expecting miracles from us. He knows we're not capable of doing miracles. He's only expecting is our endeavor and our sincerity and enthusiasm from us. There's certain things he's expecting from us, which we can do. We can be enthusiastic, we can be sincere, right? And we can try hard, do our best. And that's all that's required. And I think just by that, we can pass his exam, because that's all we can do. Really, that's only the tools we have. We don't have any special powers. That's all the tools we have. We can all try hard. We can all be sincere. We can all be enthusiastic. That's, it's not a big ask. And if we do that, then yes, if you want to focus on certain qualities, then these qualities will show in our everyday behavior and our interaction with other people. It will definitely shine out. People can see our qualities, our changes in us. Thank you so much, Mataji. Priya Mataji, would like to add something, or just anything you liked about the reading today?
Yeah, Hare Krishna. Thank you for the amazing class. So I think what stood out to me quite a lot was the analogy of the tug of war. Because I find that we, obviously, at every point, every step of our lives, we are in that constant battle with our mind. And it's really important to make sure that we are prioritizing our bhakti and staying disciplined. And I think when we hear how Guru Maharaj was disciplined as well, it inspires us to also try and be the same in our lives, in our spiritual lives. Thank you, Hare Krishna.
Thank you so much, Mother. Thank you. Absolutely right. Yes. We have to get our priorities right. And sometimes, we forget our priorities. We have to keep reminding ourselves. Yes, that's happens to all of us, Mataji. Absolutely right. Sarveshya Mataji, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. I was in the middle of the program, then I had a phone call just now. It's very sad, my nephew has passed he passed away.
Sorry to hear, Mataji.
I left, I think half of the program I didn't see, I left it. And really, I don't know what to say. Well, I can say a few words. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said that a person is most famous if he is devotee of Krishna. Like Dhruva Maharaj, he had all the qualities of a pure devotee. He was a good son, he was a good child, he was a good brother, he was a good devotee. And in Bhagavad-Gita, Krishna says that you do all the activities for me. Tu sarvani karmani mai sanastai matpara ananyajan madhyanta paste tesham amusadharta tu sansar sagrat bhamami natirat partha maya besi tesam. If you offer everything to me, then you can come to me. It says, but those who worship me, giving up all the activities unto me and being devoted to me without deviation, engaged in devotional service and always meditating upon me, having fixed their mind upon me, O son of Partha, for them I am the swift deliverer from the ocean of birth and death. And that's exactly what Dhruva Maharaj is, all the sign of a devotee. And then he went back to Godhead. And we must do the sacrifices and activities to please Krishna and for our benefit, so we can go back to Godhead. There are 4 kinds of sacrifices we can do, people do in mode of goodness, mode of partial ignorance, and pure goodness. In this age of Kali, the Harina mantra sacrifice is in the mode of pure goodness and transcendental. And it has come down from the spiritual world. It is not in the material, it's not for the, it hasn't been like a made or anything in the message you direct from the spiritual world. But we chant in this material world to go to spiritual world. Dhruva Maharaja chanted Lord's name and went back to spiritual world. It was easier in such youth. It was the yuga of meditation, and the people would have there were 4 levels of religion in Satyug. So it was in Kali it is a bit difficult to control the mind because the mind goes here and there. But still, Mahaprabhu, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and through Prabhupada, we had given this mantra, and then we can chant this mantra, and it purifies us, and then we can go back to Godhead, and we can follow the example of Dhruva Maharaj, how he chanted God's name, and it was put his mind into Krishna, into Lord Vishnu, and all the repetitive, and then he left his home and he went to Buddhist ashram. We can't go there, but in our house we can meditate on Krishna, and I think this stage is the holy name Hare Krishna Maha Mantra that purifies you, and we can just Prabhupada says we can by chanting Maha Mantra we can go back to Godhead. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Mataji, thank you so much. Yes. And I'm just thinking that, this is why we are so thankful to Sri Prabhupada, because we always thought that this is what you have to do, that, bhakti was really for the great sages, people who are born, born in that way. They have this extra intelligence, and they have the will to learn all the shastras or read the Vedas. It's like for them, for the sadhus, like that. But Prabhupada showed us that no, the principles for Kali Yuga are different, and these principles are available to everyone. We didn't even know what those principles were. He showed us what the principles are in the Kali Yuga. They are very, very, very easy. We read the shastras, they're just showing us the principles. Reading this pastime, they're showing us the principles, but we don't have to copy those principles. We copy the principle, not the detail. We don't copy the detail. We copy the principles only. And Prabhupada showed us, this is amazing. He showed us that we can copy these principles and use them to go back home. And we don't need to be afraid of death. We can conquer death, and never imagine that it's possible to conquer death. It is using the principles of Dhruva Maharaj, we can conquer death, and we can put our foot on the head of death and climb into that plane. This is what this pastime is showing, because even death will respect you. If you're a great devotee, even death will respect you, and it will want you to go back home, because you deserve to go back home. And Prabhupada showed us, he only didn't show us how to live, he showed us how to die as well. This is the amazing thing. So within those 10 years, he showed us so much, and he did so much, which it doesn't seem humanly possible. So he was no ordinary human, He did so much and helped so many people. And he came out to us. We didn't have to go back to India. He came to us to show us. He came all the way to these inconvenient countries where the food is different, the language is different, the culture is different, the weather is so different. He still came out to help so many of us. So, we are forever grateful to him for doing this for us such a late stage of his life. Most of us would just put our boots up and retire and just wait for death. But he came, and like the spirit of Kshatriya, he conquered Maya, and he helped us how to conquer this Maya. And with regards to our studying and our progression, we can hear, we can read, but then whatever we read, whatever we hear, we have to analyze it. It's not just, okay, just hearing is fine, there's some purification, but if you want to change, then you have to hear and then you have to contemplate on it in your mind. Contemplate on it, what you heard, what does it mean, what realizations do I get from this, and then apply those learnings. Very important to apply. So Shravanam, Mananam, Nidhiswadanam. These three things have to do, not just Shravanam, then you have to go further and analyze, and application is very important. And yes, we can do this. So thank you all so much. Niparveen Mataji, put your hand up. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. What does it actually mean to put feet on the head of the death? Sorry, my ignorance.
I guess death was bowing to him, and I think he just, I think same feet, maybe he just climbed up onto the plane, just jumped over the the personality of death, and he just climbed. He just wanted to go into the plane and not interact with the death too much. This is, I don't know, maybe Swashi Mataji can explain what that means. Mataji?
Yeah, no, I'll just say, because what came to my head was, because like Krishna says, I am Kal, I am death. So then I just couldn't put it together. I don't understand things easily, so I thought I'll ask. Yeah, Mataji can explain, please.
I think that's what in my opinion, it doesn't mean it actually it happened literally. It doesn't mean that. It means like he, even the sin, I mean, couldn't do anything. He left everything. Everything is under his control, and I don't think actually he did it, but it just means it give us an example like he climbed. That means he's above that sin. He's above that.
Thank you, Mataji. Yeah. So, I mean, Prabhupada, I can't remember he actually explained it, what it means, but obviously he conquered death. That's the main thing. He conquered death, and that was paying his obeisances to him. That's what we need to know. Not exactly sure what how it what the exact detail is on that, but yeah, even liberation will chase you. Death will pay obeisance to you, and all the they say all the wealth is chasing you, but you don't want anything. You just want to go and serve Krishna. That's what you want to do. Thank you, Mataji. Thank you, Swashi Mataji. Shall we do a couple of rounds? Swashi Mataji, would you like to start the first, and then Praveen Mataji, second round? Hare Krishna. Was that okay, Praveen Mataji?
Yes, Prabhuji, yes.
Yeah, thank you, Mataji.